Oh, it's time. Time to get radical.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to Radical Comment of the Week for April 19th through the 25th, 2021. These are the very best comments from that time period. Starting out with the three honorable mentions, we got Rusty Shackelford, Ektvar, and Art Bell. The bronze medal comes to us from Brian. You were right in that nothing was going to change. It's still the same / even worse. YouTube is all about support the channel, support the community, like, share, subscribe, and check out the membership programs, which basically means send me money. It's like this in every area of YouTube, not just gaming community. It's funny how not a single membership / join button, Patreon, subscribe star, donation, super chat, sponsorship, etc. ever goes to supporting the channel or growing the channel. All it really is a cash grab for the person behind the camera to fund and expand their lifestyle off camera while the content stays exactly the same, becomes lesser quality, or less frequent but higher quality uploads. There are exceptions, but very rarely does the channel ever change for the better. Quite the opposite. The channel gets worse as the person behind the camera does less work on YouTube. They buy houses, cars, toys, vacations, etc., but you never see them get an office, hire people, buy new equipment, scale content creation, produce better content, etc. It's all about how much money the person behind the camera can con out of the community. And unfortunately, the viewers find this totally acceptable. They encourage it. There is no expectation for a channel to improve. Once the viewer thinks they relate and are friends with the creator, all they want to do is join recurring memberships, flood super chats, ask for P.O. Box to send gifts, etc. All while the creator would never go within 12 feet of these people in the real world because it's an invasion of privacy. And viewers need to respect boundaries. Well, there's some things here I definitely agree with. Some things, though, I will say, Brian, in the case of people like Camelot331, Camelot actually has met with some of his donators, But still, I can look at this. I can look at this comment and I can say, as I've always said, in most all cases, when you have a channel that is growing, a growing channel, the idea is, or the con is to say, well, support the channel. It's a growing channel. It's a growing channel. Support the channel. We need some donations to help the channel. Okay. And what happens if things don't even expand on the channel? Then, well, it becomes, life's been tough, I mean, things are going on. I can't upload, But the thing is, if it's a professional operation, then shouldn't you actually be committed to actually fulfilling these promises for the money? Some people use the argument, well, people donate because they want their channel to grow and they want more content on the channel. Then, well, it's a business then. But very rarely do they actually state that their channel is a business. It's all about the friendship, One big issue I have with, donating to YouTubers and taking in donations is it's not put out there that it actually is a business by 99.9% of these YouTubers. They tug on the heartstrings, as we talked about recently with a lot of these, crying uploads, But, yeah, I mean, your first line there, saying I was right that nothing was going to change. Nothing really is going to change for the most part. I think things are really, only going to get worse. Thank you, Brian. The silver medal comes to us from Art Bell. Like most creators, Styx is using deception and lies in his sales pitch for Patreon. The broken laptop, broken promise incidents prove the case. His donation pitch has the classic Patreon lie. Viewer money helps improve the channel. Styx suggests that monthly money will mostly go towards helping the quality of video, camera, mic, lighting. Only the last part of the Patreon pitch is pay for coffee. as though whatever is left after paying for hardware, the primary call for funds, would go to frills. Only the frills part is hinting about real-world cost of life. But the improved production goal only happened from his first and second laptop replacement GoFundMe campaigns. When a laptop was needed, which would improve the channel, suddenly the viewer's Patreon money did not exist for that purpose. The laptop cash needed was miraculously separate from his 2 tip jars that bring in $4,000 monthly. Patreon money and Subscribestar money, none of it paid for needed laptops. That money was spent already on his bills. It was never for helping the channel and videos. $48,000 pays his yearly bills. Unless his laptop breaks, then it's another ask on another platform. The threat was fewer videos until the broken laptop is replaced. Yet he did video on his phone in a park. He can even record audio only in his home and get views. No one needs visuals with talking head content, even now. The text of Stick's other tip cup, Subscribestar, next to each amount, a more honest blurb, pays the bills, so to speak. Until his laptop breaks, then a crowd fund is spun up just for that. He needs to say, your money is my payment for doing content. Then we get honesty. I suppose donors would hear that as a burden. Why do I have to pay him? Oh yes, since the disabled ads which would pay him $100,000 plus. P.S. Has me wondering what he says on his 2 video sales pitches for the 2 tip jars. By the way, likes and dislikes are unstable thanks to YouTube's experiments with them. Yeah, it's weird, right? So it's weird. He had a GoFundMe for a laptop. Okay? A lot of his audience that comes to my critical satire uploads on Sticks, Hex, and Hammer, they just don't they don't want to acknowledge the whole laptop thing. It's almost like this person himself doesn't want to acknowledge that he had a fucking GoFundMe, like he said, Art, for the laptop, or tops. Was it 2 different laptop replacements? Wow, the guy's hard on laptops, isn't it? Is it they were broken, or maybe he just kind of wanted new laptops to kind of, keep up, right? We talked about honesty with Brian's comment. Honesty as it going to the channel. This kind of proves their art when there's separate GoFundMes for things like laptops. Well, kind of tells on himself, doesn't he? He fucking tells on himself because the money for the Patreon just went to pay his bills. The Patreon money went to pay his bills. The laptop money was separate. Very intelligent guy, right? Very intelligent guy. Maybe he didn't think anybody would question on that, right? The weird thing is and I'm not saying he's not intelligent, right? It's more of his audience that's kind of stupid. It's the irony is he's an intelligent guy, but a lot of his audience is really fucking stupid because they're not going to look at that and say, well, wait a second. You're already getting paid from your Patreon and you don't want to dip into that money for things like laptops? Yeah, fuck him. Fuck that guy. You heard me. Fans of Sticks, Hex, and Hammer. Fuck Sticks, Hex, and Hammer. Fucking lying piece of shit. And the gold medal, the shiny, shiny gold medal, comes to us from Juliet India Mobile. These schmucks tell on themselves far too often than not. I learned a while ago that a good tell for how people spend their money is often easily on the surface. MetalJesusRocks, although a PC gamer, is often seen with his MacBook Pro. While a capable but lackluster computer is several times more expensive than a basic PC, which can do videos editing just as well for his below average quality content. Be honest, nothing he's doing is top tier. He's shown his hoarding disease in other ways. While his channel is primarily video game related, he collects music as well. I'm sure he's got a fair amount packed into some instruments that he hasn't shown. Musicians tend to spend a ton on the gear. He often states he can't mod or repair consoles, even if it's as simple as just using a screwdriver. What tells me that tells me he isn't handy. So I wouldn't be surprised if other parts of his life he's that way. I'm sure his house is in a constant state of disrepair and they spend money on that. Considering his recent admission, his health concerns, the fact that the first floor of his house is consumed by his hoarding, I would say they rarely cook and most likely eat out a ton, which isn't cheap or healthy. Those with wealth tend to tie it up in places where it increases. Often it's never flaunted. I wouldn't consider myself anywhere close to wealthy, and only a small amount goes into collecting with a large percentage in savings, retirement, and investments. I only have a cheap 55-inch HD TV, but it works. My car isn't brand new, but it's paid for. My phone isn't the hottest, newest one on the market, but it does what I want it to. Oh yeah, I also don't beg internet strangers for money either. Seeing MJR's recent content, he seems to be on a sharp decline. His recent uploads are more boring than usual. We can all say he's running out of ideas. Thanks to channels like Rick's, hopefully more will be informed. On that last thing, yeah, I've noticed that too. It seems like, I don't know if I want to say like sharp decline, because as far as like decline in quality, I didn't think he had a lot of quality, content. I mean, regardless. I just didn't see it, right? But here lately, he's doing those type of uploads like, what was that one? Games we never finished or had a long time beating or something. And maybe a lot of guys were actually beating when they saw that last upload because it had, Miss Moneybags or whatever you want to call her. The what's her name? Well, I forget her name, but you know what I'm talking about, right? So you had her and you had like the Game Chasers and like a lot of other different people on that. So was it really even a MetalJesusRocks upload? Kind of stops by, hey, here's some guys talking about some things, some guys and girls, I'm just a lazy fuck, really. So, here you go. And then they all, just did their thing and everything. So here lately, maybe even his uploads is not really even his uploads. You can make that argument. And then he had that one where he's talking about his weight issues. It turns out maybe, and I don't know what it is. I haven't seen that upload. I haven't had the time to really, check that upload out. You talk about the hoarding, the first floor of his house. I don't know a lot of these like detailed things. I'm not sure. Mostly I stop by and sometimes I just speak on like the uploads. As far as hoarding disease, talking about wealth, people that actually are wealthy, tie it up in places where it increases. The thing is, like, a lot of collectors, they will put a ton of money in the video games. And you could argue that that's an investment. So some people will come here and they'll say, well, it's kind of stupid to put a lot of your money into the video games. But other people will say, hey, these video games are going to increase in value. Well, if you're someone like him, I mean, definitely like hoarding category, I would say. But I just anger so many people when I call someone like MJR a hoarder. I don't know. And people have conversations on what is a great collection. And if you have a lot of things, but they're placed neatly, then you're not a hoarder. And that's a big argument a lot of people have. Now, you said he's a PC gamer. Often see with his MacBook Pro. Expensive than a basic PC, do editing as well. Yeah, I don't get how for his type of uploads, he would need something really fancy. I don't know why he would need something really fancy. You say he can't mod or repair things? Well, if he can't mod or repair things, he'll just send it to, John Riggs, which is a guy actually, can mod and repair a lot of things. Or maybe if he knows that spawn wave, they actually can do that. But the first line, the smucks telling themselves far too often, you learned that a good tell for how people spend their money is how easily it is on the surface. And you talk about how people, you yourself, you got a 55-inch HD TV. Probably not top of the line, right? Probably could get a bigger television, but you're more frugal with it. Me, like I got a 65. I could get like maybe a 75. I went in a GameStop the other day and I saw a really beautiful, like I think 70-inch TV. Really nice, right? Like I could get top of the line stuff. I could get like a brand new vehicle, like top of the line vehicle. Like I could afford these things, and I could also have like a huge video game collection if I wanted to. I could afford to. A lot of people don't really understand that I've been kind of frugal a lot of my life. And, I get things that are still nice, but not specifically, I don't want to spend a ton of money, right? What I'm saying is usually a lot of the people, that have the fanciest, nicest phones. You know, they spend over $1,000 on a freaking phone. Like, that'd be crazy like years ago to imagine people spending over $1,000 on a fucking phone. You know, $50,000, $60,000 on a car. And how much, you know, money they spend on these things. Either they are in debt up to their ears for these things. And in reality, a lot of the people that don't have the fanciest things actually wind up having more money in the bank because they don't need to, like, needlessly go out and flaunt it. And if you're a person that likes to flaunt things, I think it's kind of silly, you know, if you're like flaunting a video game collection. For instance, you know, let's say Radical Reggie, who has a pretty big video game collection. You know, I'm sure he's proud of that video game collection. Yet hopefully he doesn't still drive the same car from years ago. Hopefully that thing is like dead and he's not driving the car with like, you know, freaking bald tires and bullet holes and all that kind of stuff, you know. And hopefully he's no longer drinking. Maybe he's still drinking that soda. Maybe he's still drinking that expired soda from years ago. Maybe he has a lot of the Freshkas. Was it Freshka, I believe? I'm not sure. Okay, yeah. I think we'll choose there to close this out. Hope everyone enjoyed this comment of the week. We'll be having another one maybe coming up tomorrow, I believe, and another Radical Rapid Fire. Thank you all. Take care.